Under a full moon, trees in silhouette frame a serene, cloudy night sky. On his balcony, an elderly man named Azo Satoru worries about his grandson's delay. His attention is suddenly aroused by an acute rustling sound coming from nearby bushes. Satoru's expression hardens from suspicion while he focuses on noise. From the foliage, he reveals himself to be a corpulent and threatening man who is hidden. In danger, Satoru is alert, with a serious face. At this moment, a boy, Takumi, arrives at the gate, calling for his grandfather. Surprised by the boy's appearance, the attacker wielded a large knife. The man advances towards Takumi as Satoru runs ahead to protect him. Takumi watches terrified, tears arising in his eyes as the scene unfolds. With a violent movement, the attacker's knife is diverted. But you continue your assault. The face of the shoelace wriggles with shock at the unexpected determination of the old man. Satoru bravely faces the greatest man, causing them both to fall to the ground. Takumi shouts his grandfather's name in pure horror and disbelief. Satoru forces a smile for his grandson. Something quickly calls your attention. Your vision becomes blurred as you feel your consciousness being pulled out of your body. The last thing you realize is the grandson's desperate screams as his soul disappears. Satoru appears with a soft click. A mysterious voice calls him young, offering a chance to be a hero. Seeing a floating and androgynous being, he questions who they are calling young. Satoru, confused, asks what power he's using to float. The floating entity presents itself as Ithril and goes to Satoru as Takumi. Satoru clarifies that Takumi is the name of his grandson, not his. Looking around the strange and empty space, he wonders if this is the afterlife. Ithril hears Takuma's voice. Satoru looks around you. Ithril listens to the old man's correction, his long hair flowing behind him. An expression of horror appeared on Ithril's face when he realized his grave error. God confirms that this man is Takuma's grandfather, not the boy himself. With the pieces coming together, Satoru asks Ithril if he is a god. Realizing that Ithril has stopped floating, Satoru claims he has an important question. With a dark expression, he asks the only thing that matters: if Takumi survived. Ithril looks at him, sorry, and confirms that Takumi survived. A wave of relief invades Satoru, who laughs, saying that's all that matters. He quietly asks why he should be upset if his grandson is safe. Ithril, consumed by guilt, explains that his error caused an irreversible consequence. A close-up shows the flowers in vases present in the white ethereal space. Satoru smiles gently, reassuring the divinity that as long as Takumi is safe, everything is fine. He asks what Ithril's original plans were. Knowing the intended reincarnation, seeing an opportunity, Satoru proposes that he be reincarnated instead of his grandson. Ithril's feet touch the ground while he immediately agrees to the new agreement. God smiles with joy, radiant that he has found such a simple solution. Satoru breathes a silent sigh, pleased that his cunning has worked. With the deal sealed, he prepares to make his first request. Ithril begins to shine with divine power, telling the old man that he is very lucky. God notes that Satoru seems indifferent to his divine display. Satoru explains that he is already familiar with reincarnation because of his grandson's novels. So you make your request, asking to be a little younger for your new life. Satoru casts a shrewd gaze, considering the possibilities now that everything can be granted. The god Ithril offers the elder whatever he wishes, with a kind and knowledgeable expression. Satoru thinks carefully about the unlimited offer, with his hand on his chin. His first practical thought is the initial difficulty he will face in communication. Ithril anticipates this by granting it previously languages, common sense and an assessment skill. Within the vast white void, the elder enthusiastically discusses his terms with God. Ithril seems fun, touching the head while observing the detailed nature of the request. Satoru asks for a box of items, explaining that his familiarity comes from playing games with his grandson. God suggests that a better term would be inventory, visualizing the concept for the elder. Satoru expresses his relief by dealing with a god who understands his modern references. With a humorous laugh, Ithril confirms his divine status, which the elder accepts. As the last formality before the transfer, God asks for the name of the old man. What he answers if he calls himself Aso Sitaru. Ithril says goodbye to him, sending him to the new world in a glow of radiant light. After Satirus' departure, Ithral reflects on how peculiar that human was. God then calls for a hidden presence, inviting her to show herself. A shy little girl named Philosoph lurks timidly from behind a hidden door. She pulls Ithral's clothes, curiously asking about the man who just left. A brief memory shows Satoru on his balcony, his grandson asking where his grandfather went. Ithral reassures Philosoph, explaining that he sent the man to a safe cave in his world. In the new world, the night sky is lit by 2 moons, one full and one crescent. Satoru wakes up from his transfer, meeting inside a sleeping bag inside a cave. He observes a nearby structure that looks like a shrine. Noting his familiarity in the cold air, as you leave the cave, the view of the twin moons confirms your new reality. A sudden rustling sound coming from inside the cave catches your attention immediately. Spying back into the darkness, he sees a big, threatening shadow hiding inside. A chaotic blur of movement represents a sudden and violent struggle inside the cave. A massive bear, with one horn and shining eyes, is revealed, punching a defenseless tree while biting a deer. Satoru calmly approaches the brutal scene, scolding the beast for its mess. The bear unleashes its prey, its head rising rapidly as it perceives the newcomer. With a fierce growl, the creature prepares to attack the elderly. Satoru touches his chin thoughtfully, considering which spells he has. As the monster advances, he views the powerful creature as merely irritating. In an agile manner, it deviates from the animal's attack, avoiding its attack easily. Lifting a thin wand, scolds the creature for its dangerous behavior. He conjures up a prison spell, and bright tentacles emerge to imprison the monster. The bear with horn roars with anger while Satoru quietly observes the efficiency of the spell. His wand shines once more as he prepares to cast his next spell. He undoes a sage of magical ice needles that hit the immobilized beast. Turning his attention to the wounded deer, he casts a powerful healing spell. The deer's eye suddenly opens, its life and strength totally restored by magic. He watches the cured animal jump away, wishing him well and warning him to be safe. Standing on the defeated bear, he makes a brief, respectful proclamation, so you use your new inventory skills to save the creature's immense carcass. The next morning, a beautiful dawn breaks over the foggy and woody landscape. Satoru is outside his tent, enjoying the pleasant morning air and a nearby bird. He begins his daily routine of morning exercises while birds fly around him. He continues his stretching, with birds playing to land in his tent and at his feet. The old rejuvenated man completes another series of stretching under the morning sun. Listen to the sound of a nearby stream. Your expression becomes curious. He kneels by the water, happy to have found the quiet place. Looking at his reflection, he marvels to realize that he seems 10 years younger. After crossing the forest, Ithral is happy to discover a paved road. He interrupts his journey, drinking a drink while admiring the birds on a branch in bloom. A fellow traveler who meets kindly points the direction of the city. Soon he sees the city in front of him, with its buildings rising on a distant hill. At the main door, a guard requires the old man to present his identification papers. He explains as just a tourist from the countryside. The guard smiles quietly, concluding that the lack of papers proves that he lives in nothing. He is surprised to see that an old man would travel alone so far. He finds their condescending attitude annoying, but ponders what to do next. The guard raises a crystal orbit, asking if he knows what it is. He is instructed to place his hand on the luminous magical device, and he responds with irritation that he is not ignorant and understands. Despite its sharp response, a drop of sweat shows its mild discomfort. The guards alert him to dangerous areas, recalling his own risky journey. With a friendly wave, they grant him entry, welcoming him to Seoul. Walking the streets, notes that the city looks like a nice place. The gay guards remind you of yourself and your friends in youth. He considers the next step, thinking in terms of game theory. Greeting the sky, he decides that his first destination will be the temple. The grand interior of a building, probably the temple, is shown in detail. A long-haired woman praises you for your new and charming clothes, is surprised when a voice calls to make way for a cart. In the city square, he observes the lively scene of commerce and children playing. He smiles, enjoying the bright and good atmosphere of the busy city. A collector approaches him, asking for a generous donation to help orphans. Feeling like he can't refuse, he dumps a bunch of coins in the box. He smiles, hoping his contribution will provide the children with a good meal. The collector offers a divine blessing as he waves a humble farewell. He continues his walk through the city, passing under a great arch of stone. Inside the temple, he stands before a beautiful and quiet statue of the god Ithril. Offering a prayer, he thanks him and feels that he can live right there. He realizes the presence of God and quietly promises to value this new life. After leaving the temple, thank a street vendor for a delicious snack. He finds the food tasty, but remains contemplative while chewing. He arrives at the Guild of Traders, a large building with flags and symbols. The strict master of the guild asks if he is lost, judging him as common. A kind receptionist politely intervenes, directing him to the registration table. On the table, he explains that he is on a leisure trip and wishes to register. She asks him to put his magic in a crystal sphere for the record. He leans, intrigued by the brilliant magical device given to him. The sphere bursts, turning into a bright, star-like shape in your hand, so she flattens, changing shape to become a rectangular identification card. Surprised by the transformation, he claims he will deal with food. The receptionist warns him to obey the rules while he thanks her. She offers you words of encouragement, wishing you the best as a beginner. Back at the market, he realizes the price of tea is too expensive. He approaches a salesman, asking if he can trouble you for a moment. He asks about the price of a potato, what the salesman thinks is strange. He tells you he'll be satisfied with only 2 potatoes. After taking a bite of a steamed potato, he admits it was a bit exaggerated. Turn your head, noticing a mess on the street. A little boy named Leo sits on the floor, crying, apologizing for an accident. The rude ruffian who pushed him stares back at him, saying harshly that the boy should be alert. A close-up shows the disastrous result, a completely broken egg box. The boy starts crying, lamenting to his mother who broke her eggs. He approaches the crying child, gently asking what happened to the precious eggs. Leo leads the old man along a path, identifying a building as his home. As they approach the inn, Ithril consoles the boy, saying they will apologize together. Inside, Leo's mother shows up, furious with the eggs destroyed and impossible to sell. Leo apologizes profusely with his face marked with tears while the proto watches. His mother continues her diatribe while he asks if she would be willing to listen to him. The old man intervenes, explaining that he witnessed the event and that the boy is not to blame. He asks if she has oil and vinegar, suggesting a way to make the eggs sellable. With a noise, Ithril starts beating the broken eggs in a bowl. He triumphantly presents a pot full of a creamy sauce, stating that it is ready. The mother skeptically proves the unknown substance, thinking he had an amateur trick. His eyes burst with complete surprise and amazement at the incredible taste. Admitting it's both annoying and good, she asks where he learned to do it. He smiles, explaining that it is a specialty of his village. The mother considers other uses for this, while he offers to teach her the recipe. She marvels at the fact that broken eggs could be used in such a wonderful way. He accepts your thanks with a casual finger click, reassuring her. In his room that night, he relaxes, grateful for the lodging and preparing for tomorrow. He uses his ability in Aso tea plantation to magically replenish his stock of black tea. A fond memory comes from a child named Takumi who loved to play with tea bottles. When he falls asleep, he quietly desires the boy's welfare. The next morning, the sun rises brightly over the city. The guild master is shown in absolute shock with the gigantic amount of tea our guy sold. Later that night, 2 moons hover in the night sky over the inn. In the tavern, 2 customers discuss the huge sale of tea and coffee beans from the old man. One of them speculates that the mysterious old man must be an exceptional bandit. Leo's eyes go wide as he hears the potato salesman describe our prota as a dubious-looking old man. The boy passionately defends the old, insisting that you are a good person. The potato salesman looks at your meal, questioning the boy's sudden explosion. The men ask Leo about the old man, suggesting his being tricked. The potato salesman looks over his food, intrigued by Leo's firm defense. The next morning, our guy greets a happy Leo on his way down the stairs. Customers are surprised at how you look. One noticing a resemblance to his own grandfather. Leo runs to he, embracing him, while the others in the tavern exchange morning greetings. The boy pulls his coat, asking with bright eyes where he goes today. Upon hearing that he is leaving, Leo desperately holds his purse, begging him to stay. He gently comforts the boy, promising that he will be there again someday. When he leaves, Leo sits on the stairs, crying as he reminds him of his promise. When he leaves the city, he walks one way in the forest, crossing with another traveler. He pauses in a sunny clearing, enjoying a peaceful moment. He sets up a small table and teapot, preparing for a relaxing cup of tea. The nervous ears of a rabbit with nearby horns move restless as a bird suddenly flies away. His calm expression changes to an alert as he perceives a disturbance. An elf girl, Inna, is seen running frantically through the forest, screaming in fear. From his sitting position, he quietly counts the figures that chase the girl who runs away. With a threatening smile, adventurous Guido hangs a necklace over Misha, who is captured. The group flees through a brilliant tunnel, pursued by goblins. An adventurer with pointed hair jumps over his companions, crying for help while goblins pursue them. Now cornered, Misha wonders why the trembling goblins are so persistent. Thinking his end is near, Misha apologizes to her parents in despair. The pack of goblins growls with malicious joy, displaying their sharp teeth. Hidden nearby, Gato smiles from ear to ear, thinking his plan is working, while Mina tells him to be quiet. Misha looks back, shocked, while a calm voice asks if she's all right. The elderly person appears beside him, gently observing his situation. His sudden arrival frightens both Misha and the confused goblins. From the bush, the hidden adventurers question what's going on. Misha begs to run, but he asks for a small item back. With dexterity, he withdraws a purse from his braid, identifying it as the cause. A goblin courageously lifts the bag, demanding its return. He casts a swamp spell, telling the goblins they're sinking to behave. Hidden adventurers are surprised, questioning the old man's past. He says he has powerful magic. He casts another spell, paralyzing the remaining goblins with arcs of electricity. He calms down Misha calmly, saying that paralysis is only temporary. He returns the bag to a goblin that trembles, warning him of future thefts. Confused with his power, Misha asks who he is. He promises to explain later. Now exposed, adventurers panic, and Mina blames Guido for being too noisy. They come out of hiding, pretending to be relieved that Misha is safe. Our little Velvet confronts them, claiming he saw everything. That leaves them speechless. Guido tries to threaten the old man, telling him to stop talking. Our Velho casts a severe and insightful look, completely indifferent to the threat. The three adventurers are now tied up. Realizing they are completely defeated, Misha observes, with her face made a mask of nervous unbelief. Now with Misha at your side, our little Velvet politely asks the city guard for a moment. The watchman recognizes our little Velvet. Surprised Gramps is back so soon. Our little Velvet stands beside Misha, asking the guard to give him a hand. The friendly expression of the watchman turns into shock when the adventurers are tied up. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he screams for his boss and runs for help. Misha watches the watchman run, face full of confusion. The main adventurer, Guido, laughs with a convinced expression and quick thinking. Our lord touches his chin thoughtfully, realizing that problems are yet to come. The adventurers are shown dragging their captives, now bound, by the city. The watchman casts a look at the Velho, realizing that the situation is being resolved. Guido, angry, encourages his companions to run, fearing for their lives. Misha observes the scene, darkly concluding that all human countries are equal. The Velvet watches unstoppable while the adventurers fight their prisoners in handcuffs. From a distance, the guard asks if the grandfather and the girl are unharmed. The Velvet advises in an enigmatic way Misha that she must leave before things get worse. A little boy spies through the wooden fence, watching the strange procession. The guard explains to the Velho they can't touch the high-profile prisoners. Guido adjusts his armband with a confident smile on his face. A heavy wooden door hits with a resounding bang. Misha releases a frightened scream, surprised by her sudden arrest. In a simple room, Misha confronts the Velvet, questioning why they were arrested. She starts crying, blaming herself for bringing him trouble. A jolly boy comes in, announcing that a man came to see Grandpa. The visitor holds a sandwich basket. He presents himself with a severe expression as the guild master of the city's adventurers. Misha gets nervous behind the velvet, which maintains a calm and observant posture. He then asks if they came to apologize for the actions of the adventurers. A nearby guard silently advises the velvet to be careful with his words. Misha watches the confrontation with a serious and concerned expression. The master steps forward, asserting his right to be found innocent until proven guilty. His face reveals shock and disbelief at the sharp response of the guild master. He counters her claim, saying that her sources claim that they were the ones who ambushed them. The Vellenho serves tea, quietly asking if the history of the adventurer is not proof enough. The guild master questions that, questioning how they could prove it was an invention. Misha offers the guild master a bowl of tea, suggesting it will calm him down. She presents the bowl with a determined look, while the velvet comments on his own calm. The guild master accepts the bowl skeptically and takes it to the lips. He immediately retreats, with his face contorted with disgust by the bitterness of tea. With a soft smile, the velvet asks the man if he is calm now. The guild master regains composure, stating that a confession will ease his punishment. Affirming that you will punish them personally, the doorman and the escort boy lurk behind a corner, secretly listening to the exchange. He then admits that he is not completely ignorant of the scheme of adventurers. Misha and the velvet listen carefully as the guild master begins to explain. He reveals that what happened to them is part of a common corrupt business. He explains that adventurers instigate incidents for rewards and rating points. The Vellenho, looking disinterested, comments that the whole scheme is revolting. The master of the guild recognizes the point of the velvet while Misha hears their discussion. Velvet looks out the window, ominously suggesting that the next victim may not be that kind. He continues his veiled threat, reflecting that the forest is a scary place. The guild master swallows dry with nervousness, a drop of sweat on his forehead. He promises to apply to adventurers the harshest punishment of the guild. When he leaves, the master of the guild declares he will have them withdraw the complaint. He thinks to himself that the velvet is scary. The velvet offers a warm and reassuring smile to a surprised Misha. Misha asks if the matter has been settled, while the inner boy happily eats a sandwich. The inner boy is surprised to see the velvet and Misha in the common room. The guard and the others greet the velvet, congratulating him on his success. They play lovingly, patting the back of the Velho, recognizing that he defeated them cleverly. Misha is sitting at a table, writing in her diary that the suspicion has been clarified. It reflects that they received an unofficial retaliation, finding a way to counterattack a failed system. In another scene, the long-haired god asks the young woman, Luch, his opinion. The man begins to comment on the character of the velvet. Loose Cora, while you hear that the velvet is a capable man. A new day rises, with the sun shining brightly on the landscape. The doorkeeper and the boy wish Vellenho and Misha good luck. The velvet thanks you with a wave, while a smiling Misha stands beside you. In the forest, Misha screams when she is suddenly surrounded by little hairy monsters. She had collected mushrooms and fruit while the velvet waited nearby. The velvet calmly casts a barrier spell, creating a protective dome around them. High pine trees sway gently in the wind, indicating the continuation of their journey. The elderly points the beautiful sunrise to their young companion. The elf girl, Misha, expresses her joy for the excellent taste of coffee, making him laugh. While they camp, she asks about his past, and he reveals that he was a tea merchant. She points to a river, but he remembers that she pointed in the opposite direction just a few moments ago. With an embarrassed smile, she admits she has a very bad sense of direction. He decides to check the layout of the forest on his own, preparing a finger spell. A detailed map magically appears before him, to the surprise of his companion. The elf girl breathes a sigh of pure shock with the powerful display of magic. He stares at her, questioning her surprise with a simple inquisitive sound. She marvels at her ability to create such a clear map without having to sing spells. She claims to be a wizard. Curious about her origins, she asks if her home is far, far away from here. He smiles, praising his good deduction and suggesting that a god is the only logical explanation. She asks why he did not get younger after reincarnation. He explains he won 10 years back. She notes that all other reincarnated people became much younger in the records. She wonders aloud if all humans want rejuvenation, admitting it's a strange thought for an elf. He seems thoughtful, reflecting on his question about the universal desire of humans for youth. She takes another sip in her coffee, noting it's quite hot. She declares with a flower that she cannot buy such a good coffee anywhere else. In a strange sight, the old man is sitting at a table with various system screens. A group of rustic-looking bandits comes out of the woods, laughing at the careless old man. Bandits pass casually, one of them disregarding the situation while they keep walking. Intact before the meeting, he tells Misha it's time to leave. They come to the edge of a village, and he comments that now is the time to say goodbye. He thanks the young woman for the pleasant journey while another traveler passes by them. Misha wonders with curiosity. The man who just walked by did something unusual. Satoru observes the man's deep footprints, noting that they are too heavy for an empty basket. Misha understands the implication, realizing that the man is carrying a heavy and hidden load. Inside an inn in the village, a man at the counter welcomes them and asks if they plan to stay. Satoru, with Misha right behind him, politely requests 2 suitets from the host. The host is seen carefully sweeping the wooden floor of his establishment. He explains with a friendly smile that they just reopened for business. He details that the village was attacked by bandits, but luckily no one was killed. Satoru listens to the news with a serious and thoughtful expression, missing a mild rumor. It expresses its fear that the bandits may return. He tells the man who passed by a young suspect at the entrance, which causes concern. Misha speaks to a woman from the village, suggesting that you might be able to help them. You wonder if he will listen to him, offering to gather the others. You consider the request with a contemplative expression on your face while deciding. In a clearing, you sit quietly while a huge wasp near, scaring Misha. It calmly lifts a map and presses the index finger at a specific point. The giant wasp is instantly fulminated by a powerful ray of electricity, screaming its shock. Misha is amazed, asking if he really can do things like that with just a map. A man jokes about the peaceful display, asking if you're some kind of insect hunter. A little girl approaches you and asks directly if he is strong. Her eyes fill with tears while she explains that the bad people hurt her mother. You smile kindly, reassuring the child concerned that he, of course, will help. The night falls on the village, with 2 moons shining brightly above the roofs. The residents evacuate toward the church, worried, asking if the bandits are coming back. The old wizard informs them that he communicates to his companion elf that the bandits have arrived. A magical map reveals the positions of the bandits, showing a large gang surrounding the village. Lifting his staff, he casts a spell, summoning a protective barrier. Miri watches amazed while the immense magical barrier envelopes the entire village. A resident looks out the window, questioning the strange bright light out there. Looking at the dome of light, 2 men question whether it is divine protection. With a confident smile, Azao announces that it is time to begin his defense. 2 bandits hiding in the woods sight the brilliant dome, curious about its origin. The leader of the bandits smiles, believing that bright light must be a treasure hideout. Anxious for looting, the bandits run towards the village while Azao and Miri wait. Aso prepares another spell while Miri nervously watches the bandits approaching. A strong discharge of magic explodes from the ground with a loud bang. Aso coldly observes the success of his attack as the bandits squirm on the ground. A lone bandit runs frantically back to his camp, screaming about an unforeseen problem. He reports breathless to his surprised boss that their hidden forces have been defeated. The leader gets angry knowing that the culprit was just a strange old man. He blatantly promises to crush the old man to pieces as he approaches. Asao's boots are shown walking firmly and calmly towards the bandits' camp. Azao and Miri spy on the bandits' main camp. The leader of the bandits sights them, ordering their men to capture the valuable elf. As the remaining bandits advance, Aso calmly lifts his staff to cast another spell. He unleashes a paralyzing spell, taking down the bandits who were advancing. The leader of the bandits grinds his teeth, managing to resist the paralyzing spell. He smiles triumphant, believing has overcome the old man's magic. Miri is surprised because the powerful spell had no effect on the leader. He advances with his sword, boasting that Asao's magic is useless against him. Miri screams in fear. With a simple touch of the forehead, Asao miraculously prevents the leader's attack. Spying through his fingers, Miri is confused by the impossible defense she witnessed. The leader is thrown back by a seemingly light blow. Miri watches with wide eyes, completely baffled by Asao's casual power. By closing the teeth of frustration, the leader of the pack curses the strength of her opponent. He strikes furiously again, screaming for the old man to simply die soon. Asao easily blocks the sword, quietly observing that the leader has some resistance. He casts a trapping spell, declaring it punishment for the gang's crimes. The defeated leader curses Asao, powerless in his magical restraints. Miri, nervous about the overwhelming display, notes furiously in her diary. Asao announces it's time to go back, leading the floating bandits back. The residents gather in shock, one recognizing a bandit who had robbed a store. Asao floats the captured above the crowd, asking them to let him pass. The residents look in amazement, completely amazed at the scene. The mayor arrives, pointing to the captured and asking if has the one who captured them. A grateful resident asks if he was the one who protected their village. Asao humbly admits that he thinks he helped. A little girl expresses her deep gratitude for his help. She holds a small intricate pendant, a symbol of her gratitude and relief. The little girl runs joyfully toward Asao, calling him grandpa with affection. Next to Asaozen, the mayor of the village based on a solemn agreement. Asao kindly accepts her gratitude, answering that she is welcome. The mayor then offers to teach Asao something, asking for his attention. Anxious, Asao declares that he is ready and willing to listen. That night, an imposing mansion rises silhouetted behind its great gates. A maid named Lydia is at the door, requesting entry to see her master. Inside, she informs Master Ori that she has successfully found the item. From her master's point of view, Lydia explains that there is a problem. Ori despises the news, questioning the mention of an old man in a pointy hat. Lydia faces her master with a cold, determined look. With a threatening smile, Ori declares that the old man must prepare to die. A large amount of mass is thrown hard on a table. A young woman arches her eyebrows, surprised by the sudden loud sound. With intense concentration, Asao begins to punch the dough with skill. Your elf companion Miri watches in wonder, wiping the sweat off her forehead. The girl's parents observe the strange display of cooking with worried looks. Residents, including the mayor of one day, look in complete confusion. They whisper among themselves, finding that he is making something different from bread. Wing skillfully cuts the dough prepared in thick and uniform noodles. The fresh noodles boil and cook in a large pot of boiling water. A smoking bowl full of noodles and mushrooms is presented as ready. The villagers look curious to the brown, warm and unknown dish. The mayor's eyes go out to prove it, declaring it delicious. He marvels when he realizes it's food from Asao's homeland. The mayor insists on negotiating a feudal gentleman's reward for him. Asao politely refuses, explaining that it was not right to do so. He claims it is the duty of an elderly person to help young people. The head of the village sights the chief rushing towards them, coming from a nearby hill. Boss arrives with a message from Foss City about the gang. Asao observes with an expression of doubt, questioning the news. The mayor alerts you urgently to hide your values from the incoming envoy. He explains that the local Lord Oswald is a notoriously greedy man. Asao sighs, thinking to himself that it seems to be the same everywhere. Later, he and the mayor watch the village children playing hide and seek. The two children laugh while dueling with batons. Adults observe the carefree children, noting how they are following the joke. Asao expresses his desire for the world to change when they grow up. Later, Asao and the mayor sit down to discuss defense strategies. Asao suggests strengthening a specific place rather than the entire village. Miri agrees, proposing to form and train a militia team immediately. The mayor cares about organizing this without his enemies finding out. Asau confidently suggests just warning them because gangs avoid trouble. The mayor and Miri agree that your logic is sensible. The elf girl happily pours teacups to the group. The mayor asks Asau if he served in the army before becoming a wizard. Asau clarifies that he was a farmer who cultivated tea, not a wizard. He offers his own homemade tea, and the mayor is fascinated by its aroma. When the mayor takes the cup to his lips, Asau calls it normal tea. The mayor's eye widens from total amazement after proving the incredible infusion. The village chief gives a sip of happiness, commenting on the tea of the planter of you. Mina expresses her joy, while the chef praises the superior flavor and aroma of tea. Changing the subject, the chief explains the agricultural difficulties of his village and asks for advice. You pass your hand thoughtfully on the beard, reflecting on the problem of the fields. He suggests using fallen leaves to create a nutritious humus as a fertilizer. The boss, impressed by the idea, starts taking notes eagerly with a feather. You add that mixing soot from your fireplaces would also be beneficial. With your lesson completed, you hold your cup of tea, closing your advice. Under emotion and gratitude, the chief immediately promises to share this valuable knowledge. The gentleman's stance is serious when he mentions the matter of the stolen looting. The village chief is visibly surprised by the sudden change of subject. He starts sweating nervously while trying to look calm. The chief admits that the quantity and type of drawing differ from the official report. Looking at the vault open, you note that the variety is twice what has been declared. The two men sit facing each other, the brightness of the treasure chest between them. At a lighter time, the elf distributes fruit to children. A fishing buoy dives below the surface of the water, indicating a successful capture. The children of the village gather lively around you as he raises a fresh fish. While you're near the water, you're warned by the boss running towards you. Let him know the people of Fu City have just arrived. You look up at your task with an intrigued expression on your face. Two imposing figures, Gold and Joke, march with purpose into the village area. Villagers watch from a distance as important-looking men approach. A white cat watches the newcomers with wide, curious eyes. The villagers recognize men as the master of the guild and the commander of the Fu's garrison. Gold greets you with a friendly greeting, calling you an old roomer. He mentions hearing that you defeated the gang alone with your magic. You quietly confirm that the rumor is truly true. Gold introduces himself and claims he came to collect the looting of thieves. He asks you to entrust all the recovered treasure to him. The villagers observe, a man murmuring that the request is brazen. You, with a calm and confident smile, agree without hesitation. Gold is visibly surprised by the quick compliance of the old man. Joke, his armored companion, watches the exchange of looks with a cold and stoic expression. The village chief lets out a silent sigh of relief by peaceful outcome. You suggest you can deliver the treasure immediately. The scene turns into a dark forest at night. While walking, Gold comments on how surprisingly pleasant the old man was. Joke warns Gold not to underestimate a man who would challenge a feudal lord. Joke tells his partner to shut up, telling him to look ahead. Gold lifts his face from relaxed to suspicious. You and your cat are on a bridge, silhouetted against the moon. Gold wonders what the old man is doing while Joke tells him to look around. They spot dark killers hiding in trees along the river banks. Gold realizes with alarm that they are surrounded by murderers. Joke grabs Gold's arm, claiming to believe you sent the killers. Gold looks back at Joke with his face in disbelief. He asks angry if Joke is suggesting they abandon the old man. Joke remains firm, his expression serious and unwavering in his evaluation. On the riverbank, the killers realize they've been seen. One encourages the other to attack. You, with your little white cat, turn your head, having realized the danger that is approaching. A chaotic attack unfolds while murderers attack their comrades. A pointy-haired killer brutally grabs the adventurous Gold from behind, putting a knife in his throat. Gold grinds his teeth while another killer's blade runs towards his unprotected side. He reacts, throwing an attacker out. Just when another jumps from above, Joke shouts a desperate warning to Gold while another enemy approaches to attack. Sir's cat watches the fight. You calmly point out a finger and utter a single word of magic. Joke screams confused, wondering why it was also affected by the paralysis spell. Gold tells you the situation was dangerous, but the old man seems completely carefree. With his hand on his head, Gold recognizes the paralyzed attackers as members of his own scheme. Joke realizes with regret that his own group was really in danger, not you. Gold starts to explain the situation, but you quietly say there's no need. With a drop of sweat, Gold admits to himself that his plan was completely irrational. Joke, seeming determined, decides that they should lead the mighty elder to the city of foes. You look at the two moons in the night sky, a thoughtful murmur escaping from him. A small crowd of residents, including a child, gathers to fire you and your group. The young boy looks at the old, sadly asking if his grandfather is leaving. The captured assassins are tied together, magically floating behind their captor. You smile kindly, reassuring the boy that he will come back and tell you to be good. Residents watch as you, Gold and Joke prepare to leave the village gate. Just when they leave, a voice calls by the name of you, making him turn around. The elf woman Mina runs down the village street, determined to reach them. She arrives, panting, and happily presents a package wrapped in cloth to you. With a proud smile, Mina explains that she made the gift herself, using her recipe. You look at the package offered with a surprise and emotional expression. He unwraps the fabric, revealing an organized package of udon noodles hidden inside. Mina explains that she used wind magic to dry the noodles to keep them well. The old chief in the crowd holds his fist, impressed by his ingenuity. You smile warmly, thanking Mina for the thoughtful gift and wishing her luck. With one last wave, you and your companions leave, leaving the villagers behind. During the journey, you cherish a 6-day journey, although Gold murmurs that will take longer. Gold keeps complaining about the long journey, especially because it's a round trip. Night falls in the forest. The group set up camp, and even the captured killers are fed near the fire. Joke notes with dryness that prisoners have quite an appetite for men in the situation they are in. Gold argues that not even criminals should starve, but complains of the burden of carrying their food. The camera focuses on the crackling bonfire. You, taking tea, casually suggest using your inventory magic to store the supplies. Joke looks at the old man with a silent, stoic surprise expression. Gold, however, observes with a shocked intrigue, repeating the word inventory as if he could not believe it. Joke comments in the shadow that the old man is incredibly powerful. While you sleep deeply in a sleeping bag, your 4 prisoners hang from a tree branch. Joke observes the sleeping wizard, asking aloud about the true identity and origin of the elder. Gold, also watching you, concludes that at least he doesn't seem like a bad person. Around the fire, Gold pokes the logs, asking what their next move will be. Joke asserts his goal with dark determination to prove the corruption of the local lord. Around a bonfire at night, Gold vents his frustration on his target, calling you a mere thief. As suddenly surprised by a voice coming from behind, announcing it's time to switch watches. Azo, refreshed from his nap, happily offers his 2 companions some freshly prepared tea. High in a tree, 4 captured bandits hang together against the starry sky. One of the bad guys wakes up. Joke understands with enthusiasm that they are now on the ground. He finds out that the rope that was holding them was completely cut. Asau watches with a tired expression while the 4 freed bandits quickly flee. Their expression is of tired resignation while watching their hasty departure into the forest. When the sun starts to rise, it releases a simple, exasperated sound of disbelief. Gold's angry voice questions how Asau could let his prisoners escape in his sleep. Asau offers a shamed and apologetic smile. Scratching the back of the head in response, the cut rope lies discarded on the ground, the only remaining evidence of its captives. Gold despairs, asking aloud how they can make a report without any proof. Joke calmly asks if the Lord's subordinates have done any damage, or if the looting is safe. Azo apologizes, explaining that he safely stored everything in his magical inventory. As a little excuse for the incident, he prepares a pot of fresh, smoking noodles. Gold expresses his unbelief, questioning how they can eat at a time like that. Kidding, however, finds the aroma attractive and begins to eat the delicious meal. Despite his previous protests, Gold is soon seen eating the noodles with great enthusiasm. Your face is a mask of shock and unconditional pleasure for the incredible taste of food. Aso watches his companions with a quiet and satisfied smile, glad they're enjoying it. While traveling, Gold again asks about their report, and Asao simply says to wait. Joke announces his arrival as they approach the great gates of a walled city. The huge stone gate appears before them, marking the entrance of the city of foes. Aso looks up and asks his companions to trust him and leave everything in his hands. Gold and Joke exchange a silent and uncertain look, not knowing what to do with their plan.